Premier defends decision to loosen public health measures. Dan Kearns, local journalism initiative reporter for The Standard. Durham, Kawartha. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has defended the Ontario government's decision to start the next phase of the lifting of public health measures earlier than originally planned. "We can't stay in this position forever. We've got to learn to live with this and get on with our lives," the Premier said during a press conference on Tuesday, February 15th. Premier Ford then spoke about how people feel about the COVID-19 pandemic at this point. "Everyone's done with this. Like, we're done with it. Let's start moving on cautiously," he said. "The world's done with it, so let's just move forward." The Premier noted the majority of people in Ontario have followed the COVID-19 rules over the last couple of years. On Monday, February 14th, the Premier announced the next phase of the reopening process would begin on Thursday, February 17th, which included removing capacity limits at the majority of businesses, except for sporting events, concert venues, nightclubs, and theaters. There was also an increase in gathering limits to 50 people indoors and 100 people outdoors. The government is also planning on removing the proof of vaccination requirement in early March. "Thank God, on March 1st we're moving out of this, and I just can't wait," Premier Ford stated. The Premier referenced how this pandemic has divided people in Ontario and in Canada. "I've never seen this country and this province so divided. It has affected friendships, it's affected co-workers, it's affected families, and I can tell you guys I've faced all three of them. It's challenging, especially on the family side." Ontario to require virtual learning option for next school year. Dan Kearns, local journalism initiative reporter for The Standard. Durham, Kawartha Lakes. The Ontario government is going to once again require school boards to offer virtual learning as an option for students in the 2022-2023 school year. During a funding announcement press conference on Thursday, February 17th, Education Minister Stephen Leachy explained the virtual learning option has been seen as a strength in the school system by some parents. There are roughly 150,000 students this year who exercised that choice. "What I've heard from their parents and some educators who are involved in virtual learning is, it is a strength for that strong minority of children. So, we're going to continue to offer it," Minister Leachy said. However, the Education Minister stressed the government's commitment is to keep children in school. HKPR closing a couple of COVID-19 mass immunization clinics. Dan Kearns for The Standard. Kawartha Lakes. The Haliburton-Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit, HKPR, will be closing some of their mass immunization clinics this week. In a press release, the local health unit stated, with the majority of eligible residents in the region having already received their booster dose, they will be closing the clinic at the Lindsay Exhibition site on Friday, February 25th, and the clinic at the Coburg Community Centre on Saturday, February 26th. We will continue to have clinic opportunities in Lindsay as well as in the Port Hope-Coburg area. We will be starting clinics at the health unit offices in Lindsay and in Port Hope, with initial dates and times to be confirmed in the upcoming week. We will continue to hold our weekly immunization clinics in Fenelon Falls as well as in Minden to ensure access to vaccination opportunities in those locations, Local Medical Officer of Health Dr. Natalie Bocking explained during a virtual press conference on Wednesday, February 16th. The health unit is also holding a number of school-based vaccination clinics. The uptake certainly ranges by school, with some schools maybe having 5 or 6 students to vaccinate, and some schools having 15 or 16 students who consent forms have been received for, Dr. Bocking said. 94% of Durham Regional Police members are vaccinated. Dan Kearns for The Standard. Durham. The Durham Regional Police are reporting 94% of their members are vaccinated against COVID-19. In a recent report to the Durham Regional Police Services Board from Inspector Tony Romano, the board saw only 73 of their 1,239 members are subject to submit to rapid antigen testing, and 6 non-immunized members have chosen to take their own time off. Wonderful to see 94% of our folk are immunized. That's terrific that they have joined with every member of the board and thousands of members of the public who have done their very best to stay well and reduce the impact on our healthcare system, Police Services Board Vice Chair Gary Cubitt said during a recent meeting of the board. Durham Police launched a rapid antigen testing and screening program on Friday, January 7th for members deemed not immunized.
The Artist Within by Lauren Walker, special to The Standard. I submitted my paperwork at the Scugog Library for my first show next January. I was filled with a sense of purpose and pride as I handed it over. I wandered into the gallery space in order to get a sense of how big it was. Let's just say, I have a lot of space to fill. I was excited as I perused the current exhibition. All I could think about was how much I wished people would go to see it. As I wandered through the exhibition, I started wondering if people realize how much talent flows in this community. This particular artist deals in pastels, which I haven't ventured to try. I picked up her business card and proceeded to wander. The truth, it seems, is art doesn't really matter to the average person. I got to wondering why that is so. Why should people care about it? We look at a piece of work and judge it by how much it costs. I've learned artists spend more money creating their work than they gain selling their work. We're often at a deficit because it costs money for material and time. Art tends to seem frivolous to most. Any commission that I've completed is more about capturing a memory. People look at my work and are moved. That isn't frivolous to me. How often do we take a moment to be moved by the beauty around us? Art is more than just slapping paint on a canvas. You literally paint your heart and soul. You put yourself out there in hopes someone is moved by your work. I encourage you to go take a look sometime because you don't know what you're missing. Happy painting!
The Standard Podcast was produced by Greenstream Studio for the Standard newspaper.